Hello, my friend, and welcome back to Mama Magma Yoga. My name is Tamu, and I'm here with your week 4 of exploration into adho, mukha, svanasana, or downward facing dog. So we've covered downward dog, we've covered three-legged dog, we've covered opening our hip, stacking the hip, the variation in our three-legged dog. This week what I'd like to do is explore transitioning from downward facing dog into low lunge, because I've really found that a lot of my students have difficulty with this transition, and oftentimes they feel sort of left behind in my classes, or they're struggling. So let's play with it a little bit. Let's have some fun with it. Let's see what we can explore and how we can accommodate this transition with more ease, more grace, and more strength. So I invite you to slip on something that is fun to practice in, roll out your mat, and let's get started. All right, my friend, welcome back. Let's start playing with this transition with our downward facing dog and see how we can accommodate. So depending on where you're at in your practice, and also in your body type, like maybe this move is really a difficulty for you because you have tight hamstrings, because you've got a tight lower back. Maybe you're carrying around a bit of extra weight, either in the belly or in the upper body. Maybe you just need to move slower than other people. Maybe you're dealing with arthritis. Maybe you are, in that elderly category, and we just need to be moving a little bit slower and be more cautious. So let's find some variations that work and help to accommodate everybody, so that when you're in a class or you're taking a class online, you're not feeling lost and you know how you can transition that works for you. So let's first of all come back to our downward facing dog. Let's start off in our tabletop position, just going through our checklist and being meticulous with our placement. So once again, we're spreading the fingertips nice and wide. We're bringing the wrists underneath the shoulders, stacking the bones beautifully. We're rotating the elbow creases out. We're allowing that to rotate the bicep away from the ear and engage the shoulder. We're bringing the knees directly underneath the hip points, so the knees are hip width distance apart, and we're onto the tops of the feet. Let's take an inhale in, and on the exhale, we'll engage navel to spine. Find that connection to the core. Really lengthen the tailbone back and the crown forward, finding length in the back of the neck. Then what we'll do is we'll walk the palms forward a couple of inches, curl the toes under, and send our hips up high and back, finding our downward dog once again. So maybe you need to adjust the palms. Maybe you start walking your dog, stretching through the backs of the legs. I hope by now that when you come to this position that you're starting to find some organic movement, really feeling that stretching in the back of the legs, really feeling that length through the side body, and allowing that concave feeling to happen between the shoulder blades. Dial the big toes inward. Let's take a deep breath in. And exhale, melt into the posture, sort of feel everything that's going on here, pressing into the palms, lifting those sits bones up towards the heavens. If the heels are lifted up high, don't worry about bending the knees. Let's lift those sits bones up. Beautiful. Find our downward facing dog, wherever it happens to be today, listening carefully to the body. Now, we're going to transition into a low lunge. As often, this is what teachers will cue as we're moving through our sun salutation especially. So you're in downward facing dog, and you're cued to drop the left heel and inhale, lift the right leg high. So you've got your right leg high. We've been here in our three-legged dog. And then you're cued to bend the right knee, bring it up and through, knee to nose, and then step the right foot up between the palms, finding your low lunge. Now that transition is where people have a really hard time. Oftentimes people are feeling lost in that position, in that transition, and not knowing what to do. So there are a couple of options. So you're in your three-legged dog, you're lifting that right leg up towards the heavens, you're dialing the pinky toe down, you've gone through your checklist. Inhale in, Exhale, bend the knee, bring it up and through so that your upper body's in plank. So this is version number 1. We're going to gently lower the left knee to the mat. So now we're sort of halfway into a all fours position. Now, you can back off on the palms and then step that right foot up between the fingertips. So that helps because you've lowered the back knee and it gives you a little bit more stability instead of, say you have a really hard time with this position and when you get here and the foot is on the ground, maybe your knee is coming towards the ground, maybe you're just not able to, with your body type, get that foot up in between the palms. So lowering the back knee, backing off a bit, stepping the right foot up, and finding your low lunge, wherever your low lunge happens to be. And maybe your low lunge is up higher, as we've discussed before. So that's version number 1. Practice that a little bit. Play around with it a little. See if you can lift that right leg high, bend the knee, bring it all the way up and through, knee to nose, then gently lowering the left knee to the ground and stepping the right foot up between the palms. That's version number 1. So whenever you're in a flow, if that version works for you, just take that option, regardless of what the teacher is prompting you to do. Then you can feel like you can keep up and you can keep pace with the class and you don't have to be doing the whole knee to nose, step the foot up between the palms, find your low lunge. Then you can slow it down a little bit and find a little bit more stability. Let's find a different version now. So make your way back to your downward facing dog, sending those hips up high and back. Beautiful. We'll drop the left heel. Inhale, lift the right leg high. So we've got our three-legged dog going on here. Beautiful. You're cued to inhale in. Exhale, bend the right knee and bring it up and through. But say instead, you don't bring it up and through. You bring the right foot down to the mat, finding your downward facing dog again. You lower both knees to the mat, back off, step the right foot up. Right? You don't need to be necessarily doing the whole flow. You can accommodate your body and what it needs to do. So let's try that again. Find your downward facing dog. Beautiful. Drop your left heel. Inhale, lift the right leg high. Exhale, we're going to bend that right knee, but bring the right foot back down to the mat. We're not hugging it up knee to nose. We're bringing the knees down to the mat. We're backing off with the palms, coming to a high kneeling position, and then stepping the right foot up, finding our low lunge. So you may need to have blocks in the process here. Okay, so now I've brought my blocks into the process, and let's see how that helps. So if you're someone who uses props, and please just use them. They're not a hindrance. They're not showing that you know any less about yoga or that you're doing any less of the yoga. They are actually like this great resource that we can use, and they're too little used because we're afraid to use them in class, because we're afraid of looking like we're less than the other when actually we're still doing the yoga. So I just want to give a little plug to using the props, whether it's books or whatever you got to use. So bring them to either side of the mat. So you've got them accessible to you here. Come back to your downward facing dog. Let's set those hips up high and back. We've got our downward facing dog. We've gone through our checklist. We're dropping the left heel. We're inhale, lifting the right leg high. So we're playing around here. Maybe you've been cued to open the hips like we've done before. Beautiful. We've got our downward dog going on. We're cued to inhale in and exhale, bend the right knee. So now we're bringing that right foot to the mat. When everyone else is doing this, we're bringing the right foot to the mat. We're bending the knees, bringing them both down to the earth. Then we can bring our palms to our blocks, finding our stability, step the right foot up. Find our low lunge, right? So much easier, so much better than feeling like you're out of whack and like you've got no stability and no foundation. All of a sudden you have this foundation. You can bring the blocks with you up into your low lunge. Be where you're at in your low lunge. You've got them there with you. So those are two different versions of transitioning from downward facing dog into the low lunge that we're so often cued to do. And I hope these two versions help you find more stability and more freedom to practice the transition in any class, in any situation, without feeling like you're being left behind. Because we all deserve to feel good in the yoga and to be able to move with grace and with strength. So I hope you found this tutorial informative and that it helps you with your practice. Next month, we're going to embark on a whole new adventure with another pose. I hope you join me, and I hope you have a super fantastic day. Namaste.